pleasure to be here after, let me think, it was 55 years ago. Is that right? It was in the, no, not quite, 53, in the summer of 1965 that I left Sterling to ride around the world on a motorcycle. But before then, I spent 2.5 remarkable years here. And I've spent the last 2.5 days meeting with the new president of the new college and his staff. I met with Ted Birmingham, who I finally got to call a tyrant to his face. But I told him that I didn't mind it a bit because it was exactly what the school needed then. And Ted Birmingham saved the school so that it could become a college. Today I had about half an hour with Clyde and Joan Simmons. And I remember how us bachelor masters from Princeton and Brown and these other kind of Ivy League places, how we look at Clyde as a sort of hero because he was the only person on campus who really knew how to do things with his hands. With his hands. We, Ivy League kids, didn't have any idea what to do with our hands except write papers. And one of the remarkable things about coming back here now is that the kids here now at Sterling College are working with their hands, which is something almost unique, as I understand it, in American education. And I give them full credit and I give the institution full credit. I say as I understand it because while still a loyal but troubled citizen of the United States, I don't live here anymore. I live half the year. Summer quarters are in Spain and winter quarters are in Mexico. It's a long commute, but so far, so good. Now, a little bit about me and what happened after I left Sterling, much of which I credit to the foundation I got here in those 2.5 years, because it was the first job I had. Ted Birmingham was the first boss I ever had, and he was a damn good one. In that time, I learned to get up and go to work, if only it was teaching school. I learned to do my homework, ahead of the students, keep paragraph ahead, and I learned to deal with people whom I really had never met before, and not all of them were from my world, the world from which I came. I left here, and you won't believe this part, after the motorcycle part, I became an American diplomat in the embassy, the American embassy, in Kabul, Afghanistan. And loved Kabul, Afghanistan, loved the country. So much so that when I got a promotion and got transferred to Iran, I stuck that new position for about 6 months. And then at age 33, quit and went to graduate school in anthropology. And went back to Afghanistan immediately before the place fell apart in 1976, 77, and lived in a village way up north near what was then the Soviet border. Did my dissertation research, came back, and about the time I got my degree, the Soviets invaded. So for the next, 10 years? 10 years until they left, from 1979 to 1989, I was in Afghanistan a lot of the time, trying to support the resistance. And I believe you're going to have the prospect, during the time you're here, I think you're going to have the prospect of seeing a National Geographic film I made about running with the rebels, running with the anti-Soviet Mujahideen while I was working there. Since then, I've kept going back. But what supported me all this time was an entirely different life. I was living a kind of schizophrenic life because there was all this crazy stuff in Afghanistan on the one hand. And on the other hand, I went back to being a schoolmaster, doing exactly what I did at Sterling School for another 20 years, this time at Lawrenceville, until the year 2000. When I finally quit and married my Spanish sweetheart, and we live most of the year outside Barcelona, between Barcelona and the French border, and you all better come visit. My name is Whit Azoy, and I am proud to have been part of the Sterling experience.